But a nice round of applause for Nick Johnson here, supplying our dinner music. Thank you, Nick. Continued success with your career, etc., etc. Young people in this industry. Thank you, folks. Okay, find your seats. Just another little spruik from the MC. Your forms, the credit cards. If you haven't done the donation box, I shouldn't have to keep doing this, but you know I've been told to. So there you have it. That's mine. That's the only thing I could write. My own name and a donation. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Is this it? The last night? You go home tomorrow? Interstaters, do you go home tomorrow? We're the Melbourne people. Where are you? Okay, scattered. Do we have Western Australian? Yeah, oh, on your own? Okay. Now, my daughter lives over there. Actually, it was my youngest daughter's birthday, and I flew my eldest daughter, her sister. They haven't seen each other for a couple of years, so I flew her over to surprise her for her birthday. And it made me think back of when I was your age. Where my son's a chef in Western Australia in the Sandalford Winery in the Swan Valley. I'm very proud of him. But he went through that period when he was about 16 where I didn't own him. He wasn't mine. You might be there now. It's the twilight zone. It's when you try and talk to them and they've lost the ability to totally speak to you. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where have you been, Jason? And you immediately go, wow, there's $18,000 a term well spent. The phone would ring. Hello? Just a second, I'll fetch him. It's for you, son. One of your mutant turtle friends wants to talk to you here. Not that I answer the phone anymore. The last time it rang, I went, I've no idea, ring the Weather Bureau. I hung up. My wife said, who was that? I said, some idiot wants to know if the coast's clear. But it was great. It was great to see the girls. And I put them back on the plane and off they've gone. My youngest flies for Virgin, and I'm on Qantas tomorrow going to Canberra. Who's been on Qantas? Are you flying home Qantas? Is it my imagination or the flight attendants older than the aircraft? Is it just me? I'm sorry. Is that an observation I shouldn't have made? There was a woman serving breakfast walking off frame. She was on a frame. I said, what's the first plane you worked on? She said, a Tiger Moth. I mean, I believe her. Virgin, young people, young uniforms, young planes. But do they still have to insist on directing us to the seats? Does that not irritate you? I mean, you get on after 9/11, you can't go that way. You have to go that way. But they still do. They say, Paul, welcome on board. 2A, it's in that direction. They still say it must be in their manual, their training manual. 42B, you'll find it then there. I mean, you found the airport, okay? You dressed yourself that morning, I'm thinking, but we still got 42. Unbelievable. Hey, this is really exciting for me to be working for you because I've just been working on Queen Mary, and it's wonderful to have an audience who are breathing on their own. God bless the senior Americans. They have to go somewhere, you know. But while I'm working on it, you know, I did the Shanghai to Hong Kong. When I was young, you used to get on a cruise ship. You had to do the whole cruise. It'd go insane, become an alcoholic. Hello. But now they fly you on, you do your gig, you fly off. It's fantastic. Senior Americans, a lot of them don't understand they share the planet with other people. They think it's just them. And I always come out and say, hi, my name is Paul Martel. I'm an Australian, which I am. And then I explain I wasn't born in Australia. I was born in a peaceful little hamlet called Belfast that you would have read about. Famous for George Best, the soccer player, and the Titanic. We built the Titanic. But when it left us, nothing wrong with it. It was fine, let me tell you. The English ordered the ice. So I set it up with the audience where I'm from. I'm a proud Australian. Because my whole life's a cycle. I came to Australia on the Oriana. Anybody old enough to remember a few people yeah, I came to Australia on a boat. Didn't that catch on? But when I got here, actually when Tony says he's going to stop the boats, I hope he's not talking about the cruise ships, because for some of us, that's all we have left. And corporate functions. I always come out and say, hi, I'm Paul. I'm from Belfast. This guy saw me the next day. He says, you're that entertainer guy. I said, that's right, sir. Been an entertainer all your life? I said, not yet. He missed it as well, sir. Don't beat yourself up. It's fine. Where'd you say you're from? I said, well, I'm an Australian, but I was born in Belfast. You could see his brain go tick, 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 tick. He said, what state's that in? I said, it's in a mess, actually, if you need to know. Financially, we're totally gone. We've joined pigs, Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, Ireland's right in the middle of it. But it helps a hand for us. Bob Geldof apparently is running a fundraiser in Ethiopia, so that's going to sort out the Celtic tiger for us. There's no fighting in Ireland anymore. See, everyone's happy except my uncle, who owns a balaclava factory. But this man wouldn't leave me alone. Because they go to bed early, these senior Americans, like after breakfast. They shovel it in, go straight to bed. I'm on at 9 o'clock at night working the furniture. The guy saw me the next day. He was in the gymnasium. He bypassed me. He said, didn't like your act. I said, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your cruise. He's gone up to the personal trainer, said, what machine should I be on to impress the girls? And the guy said, the ATM. It works all the time. I might add, ladies, I didn't expect to have a bevy of beauties here tonight. I thought it was going to be the corporate suits from the financial boring world. Hello, how are you? Harry Humpington. Hi. Have you met Lady Frozencratch? So, girls, you add a little bit of flair to the room. You're actually multitaskers. Of course, you know this. I've just found out recently after my third marriage. The women are multitaskers. They have a section of their brain where they can concentrate on more than one thing. Men can only concentrate on the one thing at the same time. There's one thing men do that women don't do, and it drives women insane when we do it. Do you know what it is? It's nothing. Men have the ability to sit all day and do it. And this drives women insane. They walk past you. They're going, you're fucking doing it. My wife walked past the other day. She said, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing nothing. She said, you did nothing yesterday. I said, I hadn't finished. Man's a fool. Man's a fool. I tell you, I was, because my grandfather brought me up in Ireland. My mother had gone, before I was born. And he taught me respect. Actually, he taught me to drink. My grandfather was a great Irish whiskey drinker. That's all he would drink. He would drink Bushmills was his first choice. And if he ran out of that, he'd drink Jameson. If he ran out of that, he'd drink Tullamore Dew. If he ran out of that, he'd drink Scotch. And if he ran out of Scotch, he'd drink vodka or gin or rum. As a matter of fact, they referred to my grandfather as the exorcist in the village because when he left your house, all the spirits had disappeared. Now, I mention this. Stupid, but it's clever and it's clean and it's non-racist, sexist. Because there's a story I do, and you can't tell it. I couldn't do it on Queen Mary, because if I do it on Queen Mary, it actually happened. I was coming out of Launceston and on Death Star or Jetstar. It was Jetstar. And the computer broke down, and there's a girl behind the counter, and she's crying. She's bawling her head off. There's 100 people trying to get on the plane. And I said, what's the matter? She said, the computer. She couldn't get a name and a seat number allocated to the name, the computer. She had everybody screaming at her. Have you ever taken over? Of course you have. You're in that position. I just took over. I reached over. I grabbed the lectern microphone on the gooseneck, pulled it onto the enemy side of the counter. And I went, DJ 555 to Sydney. Boarding now. Sit anywhere. How good is this? 300 people running across the tarmac, fighting and kicking, biting people, pulling people off steps. It was a war zone. It's like the running of the bulls. I get in, fight my way through, strap myself in. 5 minutes later, a man came up. He says, you're in my seat. I said, the announcement said to sit anywhere. I'm not moving. Back off. He said, fine, you fly it. I couldn't care. So it was the pilot. He missed that one as well. Okay, so. Anyway. So I move, and I'm sitting beside a German. It's not a racist story. He was German. I just happened to tell you. See? But on Queen Mary, if I said, so I'll sit beside a German, somebody would be taking the notes. Send a report back to Cunard, which is pointless because Carnival on them anyway, right? So just send it to them. They're around the corner. So, and they said, well, you can't have him back in again. So I do the story this way. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting on a plane beside a man. It may not have been a man. It could have been a woman, just in case that offends somebody up to now. There's no race. It wasn't a color. Didn't believe in Buddha or Allah or Jesus. And it wasn't yellow or black or green. There was an entity floating beside me. But to give it some humor, it had a German accent. Now, it looked at me. He says, where do you come from? I said, I come from Ireland. Is it true that Irish people are stupid? I'm thinking this is going to be a long flight. He said, would you like to wager some money that the Germans? Anybody here from Deutsche Bank? I don't know. I didn't see the guest list. I didn't see the guest list. He said, ask me a question. If I do not know the answer, I will give you $100. I said, no, I'll ask the questions, pal. I'll go first. I'll ask you a question. If you don't know the answer, wait a second. Let me think on this. You ask me a question. If I don't know the answer, I will give you $100. If you don't know, I will give you $100. And then you give me $1. How's that sound? He said, right. I said, I'll go first. What's got 3 legs, 2 arms, 1 wing, swims under the sea, upside down with a blindfold on a pink flipper? He said, I don't know. Here is your $100. What is it? I said, I don't know. Here's your $1. Now, it's called easy finance. On Queen Mary, I had the great fortune, ladies and gentlemen, of meeting one of the celebrity passengers. Roger Moore was a passenger. He's still the ambassador for UNICEF, travels the world raising awareness for underprivileged people, and he's 87. How the hell did that happen in our lifetime, that Roger? Do you know, the young people know who I'm talking about? He was a James Bond. Not like the Scottish James Bond, the real James Bond, because coming from another time and space, Connery was my favorite. I loved him in anything he does. Untouchables, he was great in that. I loved him in Hunt for Red October. He's the captain of a Russian submarine. Do you remember this? Everybody on board the submarine had a Russian accent. Do you remember this also? With the exception of the captain. The captain had a Scottish accent and a lisp. All the Russians are walking around in the fur coats and the hats and the gloves going, Grigori, did you defuse the nuclear warhead? Yes, Gib. Captain, what would you like for lunch? Well, Sonny, I would like a sausage sandwich, with sauce. He was a good James Bond, though, wasn't he? He was a great James Bond. 50 years ago. He wasn't the first choice. The first choice was Cary Grant. I'm not driving an Aston Martin. No, I'm not. Anyway, they give it to him. And the white tuxedo lighting the Dunhill. Vodka martini, shaken, not stirred. Who would have believed that would have lasted 50 years? Do you like the new guy? I do. Daniel Craig. I think he's great. Skyfall, I thought was one of the best ones ever.